I was not high much at all on the Padres going into this season. They were coming off a playoff loss to their biggest rivals, who then went on to win the championship. Their ownership was having a civil war on who should have more rights to the team. Multiple players were rumored to go in trades. The vibes just did not seem great. But to start the actual season, the Padres took those expectations from me and many others and shoved it right up our asses. They started off 7-0 and had a pretty good first month of the year. Fernando Tatis Jr. was killing it, so was Jackson Merrill. The offense as a whole was good, and the pitching, that was another thing that jumped hot out the gate. The rotation, bullpen, everything seemed to be clicking and moving toward a much better situation than most people were giving the Padres credit for. We'll skip ahead to where we're at right now, close to the trade deadline, with how much has changed since the beginning of the year. And I think a really interesting thing we should be asking is, are the Padres, are they good enough? Really quick, if you're part of the 51% of viewers not subscribed yet and enjoy the videos, consider hitting that button, as the Padres are in a very interesting spot right now. Things could get pretty bad quick, not just this year, but for a while because of this situation that they're in. Leading up to Peter Seidler's death, who was the Padres owner for years, buying a championship isn't a real thing. People say it to hate on teams who are good. There's obviously so much more that goes into any championship. But if there was any such thing as simply buying a championship, Seidler was determined to do that. He basically was doing anything he could to push his boys over the top. I mean, the Padres were like someone on the streets, but instead of begging for money, begging for someone to take their money. The offseason, when Aaron Judge was a free agent, the Padres operated like they were on meth. They offered Judge, I think, more money than anyone over the most amount of years. They offered Trey Turner more money than the Phillies did. Both rejected those offers, and because the Padres wanted somebody, anybody, they were like, okay, Xander Bogaerts, take this ridiculous contract. We just want to give this money to someone. Goddamn, come over here, please. And around that same time, they gave Manny Machado a massive contract extension to the massive contract he was already on. They extended Yu Darvish, a 36-year-old, to another 6 years. They did not give a flying They were just treating this as if it were a video game with no real consequences. And I'm bringing this all up because of how much it does matter and affect what's going on 2 years later. The Xander Bogaerts contract looks really bad. I love him to death. I will forever love Xander Bogaerts, one of my Red Sox childhood heroes. But if there's one thing liberals and conservatives can agree on right now, it's that his 11-year, $280 million contract is absurd. I'm happy you got that money. Get your bag. It's just such an obvious contract that will age poorly, and we especially know that since it's already aging poorly, not even 3 years into it. Now, credit to Xander, he has been much better after a rough couple first months, but overall production-wise, he just isn't the player worth committing 11 years to into his age 41 season, and his deal is far from the only bad-looking one. Yu Darvish, again, was already 36 when he signed a 6-year extension, put up a 4.5 ERA in 2023, only threw 81 innings last year, has only thrown 16 innings this year with an ERA over 9. Yeah, not ideal. Those are probably the worst two as far as contracts go. Add those up with Manny's contract, Tatis's contract. Jackson Merrill got extended earlier this year. I mean, there's so much commitment to so many of these guys, so much money in years the team is locked down to. And on top of all that, the Padres' future has really seemed to go down the drain with it. Their farm system used to be one of the most highly regarded. It was really good, and this is just like a few years ago. Well, it's since dropped harder than Tekashi 6ix9ine's career. They just don't have that much highly ranked talent down there. Mainly because they traded so many of them away to get players like Juan Soto, Dylan Cease, Luis Ariz, etc. And because they got rid of so much of that farm talent, they're starting to want to trade some of their current players to build that farm system up again. And that brings us to the overall question. Are the Padres good enough this year to compete? If they really were, would they really want to trade one of their best pitchers, which is what's continuing to be rumored? Overall, they have a solid team. They really do. At the time of this video, they do hold the third wildcard spot. They've been in contention really all year, but there are definitely some things to be worrying about. For the biggest example, the offense. I mentioned at the top how guys like Tatis and Merrill started off insane. Well, Tatis fell off the face of the planet for a couple months, but has come back to have a really good July, which should be expected. I wouldn't worry too much about Tatis. But Merrill has fallen off and not quite gotten back up. If anything, he's just continued to sink down into the floor. Each passing month has been worse than the last. And the Padres offense overall just isn't that great right now. It doesn't have much thump. They're 23rd in OPS, 27th in home runs, 18th in on-base percentage, 17th in batting average. Like, it's just been kind of lousy. And look, that's not the end-all be-all, especially when you have as good of pitching as they've had. I mean, they have a top pitching staff in the game right now, easily. To name names, Nick Pivetta, who signed a 4-year, $55 million deal before this season, is having the year of his life. Dylan Cease has a 4.5 ERA, which in itself isn't very good, but that doesn't at all tell the whole story. It's been much better than that. A lot of the numbers show he's gotten unlucky, and he strikes out a lot of guys. And the bullpen has some elite arms. I mean, 3 of their relievers were all-stars, so that should tell you everything right there. The Padres have the 7th lowest ERA in baseball as a whole, so things are great. Well, kinda. Again, the offense is kind of bad overall. At least it's been so. The pitching has really been having to carry, but it's also a pitching staff that might soon lose some of its best. The Padres, being where they're at, are in a position where they can win. I mean, again, they're winning. They're in a playoff spot as we speak, but they also have some short-term and long-term issues, so they plan on selling and buying at the trade deadline, meaning they plan on not going all out or all in, like a little bit of both. They're not committing to one side. Something to help them in the now to win this year, but also help for the future, which is why they're heavily rumored on trading Dylan Cease, which is smart. I mean, Cease becomes a free agent after this season, so keeping him for just another few months and not getting any value for him while you have him seems risky, but it also seems scary to do if you want to win this year. If you trade Cease, you're really limiting the amount of guys you can trust in the rotation. There's been Nick Pivetta and Dylan Cease so far as like the top 2 who are very consistent and giving you a lot of innings. Randy Vasquez is like the opposite of Cease with strikeouts. He barely strikes anyone out, but he has still been good. The issue is the numbers do show he's been getting lucky, which means that probably will even out at some point and not look so pretty when it does. Steven Kolek's been pretty good, especially for a rookie, but he's also a rookie. Like, that's not someone you're going to count on to give you a ton of innings, and neither is Michael King for a different reason. King is far from a rookie. He's very established and very good, but he's also very hurt. He hasn't pitched since May because of shoulder issues. It's been more than 2 months. So as good as the Padres pitching has been overall compared to other teams, it still has its big question marks that would only make those question marks bigger if you trade Cease. They've also been rumored to trade Robert Suarez, their closer, and that wouldn't be as scary to do because, like I said, the Padres bullpen had 3 all-stars. Yeah, Suarez was one of them, but it's not like taking him away depletes the whole thing as it would for a lot of other teams. You have other elite options. I guess it really all boils down to how good the return is, if it's worth giving this up. And I will say, I do think the Padres are going about this the right way, the smart way, because as much as this team is in it, it would be dumb to go all in on them. For example, a team like the Dodgers can mostly just think about right now when making a trade this year because their future is set so much better than most teams. But the Padres, like, they have to make trades thinking about the future as much, if not more, than they're thinking about right now because of how shaky things look. From the big contracts they have locked in to the depleted farm system, like, they have to address all that. And another thing the Padres are rumored to be interested in doing is adding to the rotation if they do trade away Cease or King. King has been rumored to go too, even though he's hurt, so that'll be tougher to figure out. But if they do trade one of those guys, they'd want to add an overall good starter, but someone who isn't having the best year. For example, Sandy Alcantara. He's overall had a really good career. His numbers blow this year. Or Zach Gallen, same exact thing. Overall good career, but his numbers are in the toilet in the Big 25. Because of that, their value is down, meaning the Padres can get them for less and hope they get back on track with them. Low risk, high reward scenario, which is all the Padres should be doing right now. They can't take big win now risks, but there is a guy out there they do really want that kind of goes against hurting their future. Jarren Duran on the Red Sox. And when I say they want him, I mean they have a hard-on for him. And the way we know that is because, I just went over how depleted the Padres farm system has become. Like, they don't have nearly as much talent as they used to. They've lost a lot of it, yet they're willing to trade one of the last top prospects they have in order to get Duran. That's how much they want him. There's a reported offer the Padres made to the Red Sox for Duran that would have sent Dylan Cease, their top catching prospect, Ethan Salas, and another prospect for Duran. Padres general manager AJ Preller called Boston with this proposal, and here's how that went.
Hello, Peppa?
I really am shocked that they're willing to give that much up for Duran. He does have several years left of team control, and he's obviously a good player. But I don't know, that just it seems like a desperate move, but also a move I understand the Red Sox for rejecting. Like, it's weird. You would think, well, why would the Red Sox reject it if the Padres overpaid for it? I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where either side, like, you can understand the Red Sox for rejecting that, even though it could be looked at as an overpay from the Padres. Like, is it worth giving Duran up, who again you have for 3 more years after this, for a rental pitcher in Cease and a couple prospects? Maybe, I don't know, but I can see why they said no. San Diego is just in a strange spot right now. They're in contention, but also have some glaring issues that can become a disaster fast. Their offense is bottom tier. Can they make a serious run? Only time will tell what they do trade-wise and on the field, obviously. But let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching. Love you. Bye.